Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here today. I love libraries. I grew up really poor, so libraries have meant so much to me my whole life as an avid reader. So thank you for coming and supporting the library. So I'm Summer, obviously. I use she, they pronouns. And I started Fat Girls Hiking in 2015 when I was living in Portland, Oregon. Um, I started hiking a bunch, and I'm a photographer and a writer, and I was looking at, social media was kind of just starting to get really big, and I wanted to, see some representation for fat folks, for queer folks, and I wasn't finding it anywhere on Instagram, which was a bit disheartening at the time. And so I just started a Instagram account called Fat Girls Hiking, and it was just me hiking, with my friends and my girlfriend at the time, and you know, posting about camping trips and little driving adventures I was going on. Um, and then it started to grow from there into people using the Fat Girls Hiking hashtag, and I would repost people's photos and tell their stories, and really just like started to become this space online where fat folks in the outdoors were like getting that representation through the Fat Girls Hiking page, which was amazing and like totally needed and something that I really wanted to see. So then from there, we people started asking to go on hikes with me, and I was a new hiker, and I had no idea how to do that. So it was kind of a bizarre thing to be like, I don't know how to lead a hike and I don't know how to create a community. But through people asking for that, I sort of like realized that it was something that I really needed too, and that others needed. So I just kind of figured it out as I went, started posting a few hikes online. To be honest, the first couple of hikes, nobody showed up, and but I still kept going. The third hike I posted, about 5 people showed up, and we did this awesome waterfall hike in Washington State, and it was just amazing to have like a place where we could just be who we were, be who we are, be fat, be queer, be whatever we are. We didn't have the right gear, it didn't matter. We were just like there to celebrate each other and support each other on this hike that we were doing. And then from there came the chapters, which was like another thing I had no idea how to do. But through the help of like friends who wanted chapters where they lived, we just figured it out together. And now, well, before the pandemic, there was 37 chapters, which is just wild to me that this is what it's become. But the pandemic kind of slowed things down a bit, and we're just kind of trying to figure out how to get back into doing in-person group hikes and retreats and things like that. Um, and then one day I got an email from this publisher in Portland called Timber Press, and it just said something like, "I heard you're writing a book," and I was like, "I don't, I am." I was kind of confused about that, but but I had maybe mentioned like, it's my dream to write a book, so I've probably mentioned it once or twice on Fat Girls Hiking. Anyways, I met with the editor at Timber Press, and he brought me like a stack of free books, which is like such the way to my heart. And we talked about what the book would be, and when I was thinking about actually writing a book, I wanted it to be the same experience that people would have, on the social media pages or like from the group hikes in person. Like, what would that be? So I knew I wanted to write stories about my personal experiences, living in a van. Welcome to my van, by the way. This is it. Um, and I knew I wanted to have the ambassadors contribute because they are such a huge part of the organization, and I knew I wanted to like let the other community members tell their stories as well, and so we have community spotlights in the book as well. So it's these three sort of components in the book that I think give a really awesome picture of being fat in the outdoors and how we access the outdoors as fat people, or like the barriers that we face as fat people in the outdoors, and how do we overcome those barriers or how do we take up space in the outdoors when, we have, you know, that we can or should do in a way, like these are the messages that I received when I first started hiking, that there's these gatekeepers who want to say like, oh, hiking is, for a certain type of people. Hiking is for people who have money to get all the right gear and people who have knowledge and experience. And I think like I want people to find joy in the outdoors however they want to. So it could just be sitting in your yard, like, but really intentionally connecting with nature. It could be, doing a hike. It could be like sitting at a beautiful vista or driving somewhere beautiful. Just like finding that connection to the outdoors is really what I want people to figure out for themselves. And that's sort of my goal now. And I love hiking, but I have chronic pain, so it's not something that's accessible to me all the time anymore. But I find my own ways to like connect with nature, and I want everyone to find that, because I find so much joy and healing in the outdoors. And as someone who's like marginalized, especially, I think that when there's so much going on in the world, I know probably every single person in that room has hard things happening in life, and just seeing hard things happen in the world. And when we are outside connecting to nature, it's like we can breathe and we can shift our perspective and we can find peace. And I just find that to be really important to me and my well-being, my mental well-being and my physical well-being. So that was a very long explanation, but that's sort of the gist of the organization's history and then how I started writing the book. So there's a couple things you want to look at when you're searching for a hike. To be honest, what I do is go to Google and type in best easy hikes wherever I'm traveling to. That's generally what I do. But you want to look at things like the mileage and the elevation gain. So the mileage is like the distance you're going to be traveling. Some hikes are loops, which means you'll like start at one point and the trail will take you around and you'll come back to the same point you started at without going back on the same trail you were on. And then there's like out and back hikes, which means you're gonna like start at one point, travel the trail, and then go back on the same trail to back to the trailhead. And then there's like combinations of those things, which you don't necessarily need to know about. But knowing how far of a distance that you can hike is really important, I think. So if you're nervous about, how far you can go, or you're not sure how far you can go, you can always, you know, there's like tons of apps you can put on your phone where you can like measure how far you're walking, and just like walk in your neighborhood or in a park or somewhere where, you feel comfortable and safe, and there you have cell service before you really like try to go out into the wilderness. That would be my recommendation. And then when you're thinking about elevation gain, oh gosh, I write about this in the book, but I think it's 10 feet is considered one flight of stairs. So like if a trail has 100 feet of elevation gain, that's like what, 10 flights of stairs, if I'm doing my math correctly. I'm terrible at math. But and so it's not like you're going to be like climbing stairs on the trail, but it's usually more gradual. But that's just like, and they're usually like switchback, so it's usually a little easier. But sometimes if you have like a lot of elevation gain in a short distance of a hike, it can be very steep. So I just say like try them out, to find the hikes that look beautiful to you, because for me that's kind of what started me when I was first started hiking. Was I wanted to see waterfalls, so I was like looking at all the waterfall hikes, and like I kind of didn't care what the mileage was. I was just like, I'm gonna try it, and I gave myself permission to like turn back whenever I needed to, and I gave myself permission to stop as much as I wanted to. And I think giving yourself those permissions before you start hiking and sort of like setting yourself up for those expectations is really I don't know, that's like my self-care. So if that works for you, I would say try that. Stuff to bring is like definitely water, obviously. And I know it's really hot there today. I'm so sorry y'all have to deal with that. It's like a cool 65 right now where I'm at on the coast. So, but I dislike hot weather, so I feel that. But bring a lot of water, especially if it's a hot day. I like to have a water bladder in my backpack, so it's like this bag of water essentially with this hose that like straps to your shoulder, and then you can just like take little sips as you go, and you don't have to like take your pack off to like reach your water bottle. And I always bring lots of snacks, so bring like trail mix, calorie dense items. I always bring more than I need usually because, you know, fear of not having enough snacks. Sometimes I bring like really fun things like, leftover pizza. I remember doing this one hike where I brought some leftover pizza in my backpack and I climbed up to the top of this view, and it was a wildflower hike, and I was like just eating my pizza, sitting in the dirt, happy as can be. So like whatever's gonna bring you joy, just bring that with you. But also think of safety. I always put a first aid kit in my pack. It actually lives in my pack, so whenever I am putting like water and snacks in my bag, I know my first aid kit is stocked and ready to go. I love trekking poles. They're like ski poles and ski pole lookalikes. They usually telescope down to a small space, and you can put them in your pack if you don't want to use them. But for me, with my chronic pain and my body needs, it helps me. It's like holding onto a railing essentially, especially if you're going up. It's really alleviates the strain on your legs, so it helps your knees and your, if you have any like back stuff, which I totally do, then for me it's just like really kind of like helping my body to hike further or to hike at all some days. So when I first started hiking, used Columbia products a lot because we have a Columbia outlet store and it's like what I can afford. I also find that like any activewear you can find, like Walmart, honestly, like, and obviously some of these companies I'm not like wanting to promote them necessarily, but I'm just gonna tell you what I used. I used Walmart leggings almost every single hike for the first 3 or 4 years, and they lasted me a long time, and they were like under $20. So um, but like I couldn't see who was talking, but like Erin or Rachel said, trying to avoid pots is really awesome. So any kind of you know, activewear will work. But yeah, Smart Wool has been amazing. They have financially supported my book tour and have been really awesome to work with. They're working on expanding their plus sizing to go up to 5X, which is amazing. And this will be like base layers. And they are working on wide calf socks, which are coming out in the fall. So yes, they're amazing. And those socks, honestly, even if they weren't paying me, I love them. So it feels like, it's really weird to say, but it feels like a hug on your foot. And like I wear them like, walking around, just, doing my regular stuff because it's like compressing your foot in this way that feels really nice. Other brands, I try to support like small like outdoor stores if possible. There's a great one in Portland that I go to. I'm not sure if you guys have one there, but that's where I got my backpack. I went into this, little locally owned outdoor store, and they measured my torso so I could find the right size backpack.
Anything on getting lost?
Oh boy, it's not fun. It's only happened to me once. Um, but like it's a little hard to hear everyone, but I think somebody suggested, bringing, like, if you bring your phone, I would say bring a secondary source, that like a paper source of the trail map, the directions. But sometimes trail directions are confusing in one source you might have. So having a backup source is really recommended. or going with somebody that knows the area and the trail. But yes, I prefer a well-marked trail. That is kind of what I do now. Getting lost one time was enough for me. So after that, I always bring more than one source if it's a trail that I don't know and where I won't have cell service. Um, I did obviously eventually find my way back from the trailhead, but it was not a great experience, so don't recommend. Multiple sources of trail directions in case one of them is wrong or confusing. Yeah, go with people and um, preferably if you have cell service. Those are all kind of my criteria now when I'm doing hikes that I don't know.
Follow-up question, Summer.
Yeah,
How do you know if you haven't been on the trail before? How do you know if it's well marked? Are there like reviews that you look up online?
yeah, you can. I use All Trails, which is you can actually use as a GPS for the trail. It's not. You can actually like pay the $30 a year for a subscription, and then you can actually download the trail map to your phone. And if you do that, I just would recommend bringing like a power bank with a cord. So if your battery runs low or something, then you have a way to charge your phone. And so like that, in addition to like having like a copy of a book, or something, or the actual book, is really helpful. But trail
Okay.
reviews sometimes will have like that information. I am like let me look at all the reviews from other people who have done this trail. But you're right, it's not always something that's reviewed in like trail guides necessarily. I think all of the trail reviews in the Fat Girls Hiking book um are like easily like well marked trails, because I think that's just, I think especially for like beginning hikers, it's like something that's not it's not fun to not know where you're going, and I want people to like have fun so they want to keep doing it.
Can we address more of the safety if you are alone and maybe you're worried about, someone coming across you? And I know, Summer, you said something about bear mace. Was that for people?
Well, um I mean, I guess it could be if you needed it to be, but it's like a canister, kind of looks like a mini fire hydrant or fire extinguisher in a way. It just has this loop on it. You can just I put it on my hip pack belt, and I mean, I've never encountered any kind of bad situation with people in the outdoors, thankfully, where I needed to like defend myself in any way. I find people to be very welcoming for the most part. Um, so I would say I'm more afraid of animals in the outdoors. So I just try to like research what I might find in where the area where I'm hiking. For me, it's like bears and cougars, which is why I carry the bear spray. And I have like a little bell that I wear on my backpack, because you want to make, if you're by yourself, you want to make noise. So you don't want to surprise an animal. It's better for them to like scurry off before you would happen to cross paths. And then I just like try to educate myself on what I might encounter too. So like what to do if I were to have an encounter with wildlife. So like bears have different, usually if you're just talking, they're gonna like run away from you. Cougars are more like cats, right? So they're gonna want to like stalk you, which is like terrifying to me. So like just knowing what to do, I like love to Google stuff and do research before hikes just to make sure I like have all that information fresh in my head in case that were to happen. But yeah, I suppose you could absolutely use bear spray on a person if necessary.
Summer, we're talking about chafing. Any comments?
Yes. I get chafing all the time, even when I'm not hiking. So I have my best friend who is the Fat Girls Hiking merch queen. Her name's Gina Marie, and she makes this amazing salve in her kitchen, and we sell it. We call it Chub Rub Salve, and you can go to the Instagram link. There's a link in the bio of Instagram, and it's got like all these like healing herbs. It's got like calendula, a bunch of other amazing herbs, and you can get it and it's made with like olive oil, and she like soaks it for months in these herbs, and then has a beeswax version and then like a vegan calendula version, and you can get like a little tin or you can get like a deodorant stick. She makes mini ones that you can put in your backpack even, and I literally use it every day, like to prevent chafing and also to treat the chafing. So like if I forget to wear it one day and I get chafing, it heals within a day because of the salve. So I'm like, I don't even know what it is, but it's magical and it works really well. And my bestie makes it, so of course you should get it. But I also wear shorts. But I still like, there's still some spots in the bra area, in the underwear area, that just like even wearing shorts doesn't necessarily prevent chafing, especially if it's hot and you're sweaty. So yeah, and if you don't want to get the Pacific Fat Girls Hiking salve, there are tons of products. Mega Babe is one that I know that people use if you want a more like store-bought one. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. Chafing stinks, and I'm sorry it happens to us all.
Okay, I have a question. How do you pee in the woods as a girl? If you're comfortable talking about this, I would like to
Yeah,
know.
I love talking about this because it's like such a part of going outside. And when I was a beginning hiker, nobody talked about that. I just squat personally. I usually bring like a hanky, or there's this brand called Kula Cloth, where these little like rectangle or square microbial claws that you can wipe with. So those are the two things I would recommend squatting. But there's also like these things you can hold up to your body, and it's essentially like you can stand up while you pee. I am not a fan of them, but a lot of people like them. There's like, it's called like the Go Girl. There's the Pee Style. I think one's called Shiwi. So it's essentially like a piece of plastic that you hold up to your body, and then you don't have to squat. But if you do have to squat, and some people, including myself, like squatting isn't the most comfortable, just find like a log or something to hold on to, or a tree to hold on to, and just make sure you're 200 feet away from the trail or water sources. And if you can, take a little bit of your water and just sort of like, dilute your urine, or try to go on over rocks or stuff. It's just like urine can attract animals, and so it's just like a nice way to leave the outdoors better, or leave no trace. So pooping is another super fun thing to do outside. No, I don't like it. But my favorite method is to dig a cat hole. So a cat hole is essentially like a small hole you dig. I have like this little lightweight shovel, and it actually has measurements on it, so you know how far you're digging. And so I dig a little hole, poop in the hole. I bring wipes and stuff like that. So I have a plastic bag for like used wipes, and then a plastic bag for the ones that I'm using, and take all your toilet paper and your wipes and things with you. It's gross, but like it's just the way we need to take care of our natural spaces. Make sure you bury the cat hole. Some outdoor spaces, you actually are not allowed to dig cat holes, so it's best to just like know what's allowed in the area that you're going. Like some deserts, desert spaces, you're not allowed to. But that's kind of how I do it, and Yeah, pooping, not preferred. I would rather wait for, even a vault toilet that smells disgusting than poop in the woods, but you just have to go when you have to go, and it's part of being a human, so there's no shame in it at all. I am not on Twitter, not a fan, don't understand it. Or TikTok. Sorry, it's just not my thing. I'm most active on Instagram. The handle is at Fat Girls Hiking. I'm also on Facebook. I'm not great at Facebook, um, but it's a page, so it's not a group. So you don't have to ask to join. You can just like the page, and it's Fat Girls Hiking. There's a website, fatgirlshiking.com, and then on Eventbrite, it's Fat Girls Hiking. And if you follow us on Eventbrite, you can get an email whenever we post a hike. And then follow the DMV chapter, obviously, if you're interested in the local stuff going on there. And Rachel and Erin run that page, and that is a group, I believe, not a page. And I think you have to ask to join. And then you can find the book through Timber Press. They're a part of Workman Publishing. So it's workman.com if you want to buy a copy, or, support your local indie bookstore and order it through them. Also, no shame at all. Buy it on Amazon if you need to, if that's easiest for you. Or get it from the library,